Hi guys, Michelle here on my channel Swanson7. I was just realizing that I've never really introduced myself, but my name's Michelle. So it's been really fun meeting some of you and getting to know some of you as I'm sharing more content again on this channel. So thanks for hanging out and watching the videos and for the comments and for your videos too. I've enjoyed getting to know some of your hearts. So the purpose of this channel is just kind of to be out there with my walk with the Lord, sharing some of my testimony. I don't really mean for it to be like a parenting channel or like a music channel or anything like that, but sometimes those are the topics that come up. And so I'll be sharing those when they're on my heart. And today I have been thinking a little bit about Ephesians 6. So someday I'd like to share just kind of a full parenting testimony and how the Lord has worked in my parenting. But today I'm just going to give a little snapshot of something that he showed me several years ago as I was reading through the scriptures. So I was reading through Ephesians 5, and wives submit to your husbands and husbands love your wives. And I was just thinking through those verses and thinking like, oh yeah, there's this mutual submission. And then there's this idea that when husbands love their wives, it's really easy for wives to submit, and it works really well together when husbands and wives are working together in harmony that way. Then I kept reading and I got to Ephesians 6. And the first verse says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right." And then verse 2, "Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise." Verse 3, "that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth." So at the time when I was thinking through this particular time that I was thinking through this passage, I was thinking about some of the way I was parenting, the way some of the people in my life were parenting. And there was kind of a trend where a lot of us young parents would say things like, "You need to obey," to our kids. And I was thinking that's such an interesting phrase. And wondering what the heart was behind that, if I ever said that or when I'd hear other moms say that or dads. And so the heart of it was the scriptures are telling children that when they obey their parents, there's a promise that comes with that command, and it's a very good thing from God that they can live long and well with the Lord. And so we want that for our kids. And we want to teach our kids to obey us so that they can obey the Lord. But I think there's something else behind it too. I think sometimes when we're parenting, we can feel anxiety, we can feel like we don't know what to do, and so we just kind of lash out and say something to our kids like, "You need to obey." And oftentimes when I heard this phrase, it wasn't said in a tender, loving way or in a teaching way. It was just in a kind of a controlling, forceful, "You do what I say." And I began to wonder, do parents read these verses and think that they are their command to obey? And when I looked at the verse, it became very clear to me that it is not my command to obey, it's my children's command. And I kept reading, and I got to verse 4, which says, "And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord." Oh, as a parent, that's my command to obey, not to provoke my children to wrath. Well, what is one way of provoking a child to wrath? Potentially, in a harsh voice, demanding obedience could provoke my children to wrath, depending on the child. So I began to see that just like there was a relationship between the husband and wife, and that when each person was doing their part, it would make things easier for the other, the same thing was going on between child and parent. When a parent is not provoking their child to wrath, it is much easier for a child to obey. So, an example with little kids we might have said when our kids were little and they were old enough to get ready and brush their teeth by themselves, we may have said, okay, it's time to go get ready for bed. So go up and put your jammies on and brush your teeth. And then 30 seconds later, they would come downstairs in their jammies. And as a parent, I knew there's no way that they brushed their teeth. And so I could choose to say something like this. Why didn't you brush your teeth like I told you to? You need to go obey. What is that doing in my child's heart? And what is that doing in our relationship? Is it making them easy to obey me? Is it making it difficult? Am I leading them into sin, or am I leading them into righteousness? And so oftentimes what I found when I would react or respond to my child in that harsh kind of a way, the child might respond by trying to keep peace. I brush my teeth. So then I've led my child into lying. And then I get angry because my child lied to me. And we're butting heads and we have conflict and it's late at night and there are tears and anger and things just tend to explode. Or I could make a different choice. I could say to my child something like this. Good job putting on your jammies and listening to mommy like I asked you to do. Now, if I went upstairs and I checked your toothbrush, would it be wet or dry from you brushing your teeth? And in that situation, I'm making it very easy for my child not to lie and easy for them to remember to obey. Oh, I didn't brush my teeth. And they'll run up. 9 times out of 10, that was my experience. They'd run upstairs and they'd brush their teeth and we'd go on with the night. So with an older child, with maybe a preteen or a teenager, those kids are gaining independence. They are making choices on their own. And as parents, sometimes we might respond to a situation with wanting to grasp, with wanting to grasp control, with wanting to give a lot of directives and a lot of commands. And oftentimes when that happens, we'll see our teens fighting back, pushing back, seeing what they can get by with. And I was meeting with a friend of mine who is a teenager, and she just told me how she had a party the other day, and her mom was just really brilliant in how she dealt with the girls at this party. So it was getting to be later in the evening, the girls were spending the night, and the mom, instead of coming over and saying, here's the approved list of things that you can watch, and I need you to get to bed by this time, and lights out by this time, and no talking, and because sometimes we do that as parents. We're either thinking, okay, I am wanting to go to sleep and I don't want to hear kids giggling or running around all night, and so I want to control this and clamp it down. But instead, what my friend's mom, and her mom is my friend too, but what this mom did was she said, you know what, girls, it's getting late. I'm going to be going to bed. What's your plan for the night? And the girls talked about it with her a little bit, and she said, awesome, I think you're going to make a great choice with whatever you watch, and I know you'll make a good choice about when you go to sleep. So good night, I'll see you in the morning. And she left. And the teen told me that her mom putting that trust in her really made her want to live up to that trust. And she said, we made really good choices about what we watched. We got a lot of sleep, and I felt like really connected to my mom when we had this interaction. So those are some positive examples on how to help our children to obey. So thinking through these verses, when we take on what's our command to obey, it helps our kids take on their command to obey. And of course, part of our command is to, I want to say it right here, is to bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. And so we teach our children to obey, but we do that through love and patience and direction, and it takes time. It comes over time. So we can't just expect that if we say, you need to obey, that that's going to do anything to really work in our kids' hearts, it's the nurturing, it's the admonition, it's the not provoking to anger that helps stir in our kids' hearts the desire to want to obey us and to want to obey the Lord as they're learning to walk with the Lord. So I do want to say right now that whenever I share parenting tips, I want to be really careful to make it clear that I don't do this stuff perfectly. And you're not going to do these things perfectly. Parenting is hard, and we're humans, and we are totally dead to sin and alive to Christ, but we're still in our flesh, and we still make fleshly decisions at times. And so when we try to come at parenting from a place of grace and from a place of love and safety, it doesn't always happen. And so when I fail in those instances, or when I make mistakes, or when I just don't do things the way that that is like the most fruitful or the best for my relationship with my children, I remember the cross. I remember that Jesus died for me, and I thank him for forgiving me for my sin, and I can restore my relationship with my child. So I apologize to my kids all the time when I do the wrong thing, when I make a wrong choice. And in that way, I'm modeling humility to them, and I'm just showing them my need for Jesus. And I ask them for a do-over. Or, hey, can we try this? Can we try that again? Boy, I really don't like the way I said that. Or, you know what? Whatever it was that I expressed was not at all what the message that I want to give you. And would it be okay with you if I tried again and gave you the message that I really want to give? Would you be able to receive that? And most of the time, my kids are very ready and willing to extend grace to me. And it really only helps our relationship, even when I mess up and I'm able to humble myself, and we're able to go through a situation again in a way that's healthier, in a way that we can respect each other and learn to honor one another. So when we try to change our parenting, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to reflect the gospel really in our relationship with one another, which is a beautiful thing. So no pressure to be perfect, but we're growing and we're learning and we're changing and we're becoming more and more like Christ in our interactions as we parent. And we're modeling him as well. So hopefully this is helpful, and I'd love to hear any experiences you have where you have had a do-over, or maybe you've found yourself provoking your children to wrath and you're looking for ideas on how to change that. Or maybe you have some really good examples of how you have been teaching your kids how to obey while obeying your own commandment and not provoking them. So, I would love to hear from you, and have been enjoying hearing from you in the comments. So have a blessed day, and I really love you guys and appreciate you, and hopefully we will connect soon.